Thank you, Fred. Well, all I can say is wowza, and thank you to the White Feather Healing Drummers. And of course, it's not a Thursday night without it. Good evening, friends. Good evening and welcome to this very special service tonight, dedicated to a very good friend, a superb minister, and an absolutely golden exponent of this way of life, Rev Alan Sutton, who sadly passed to the world of spirit this weekend. However, I've got to say it, because I would be in trouble if I don't. Keep it uplifted. Laugh, smile, enjoy your time together, because that is definitely what he would want. And frankly, if he doesn't get what he wants, he will likely cause havoc. And my comments about curtains twitching and chairs floating all over the place will certainly come to pass, rather than my caution that it doesn't. So please, my friends, remember that we are here to enjoy each other's company, because that is what life is all about. And I know that that is what tonight should be about. So please welcome our medium for this evening. She's a good friend. She's a family member. She's a regular. And she knows dirt about me, so don't tap her up. Give it up for Lisa Snowflake Checkley. And of course, tonight is going to be very much about Alan. Instead of an address, yes, you heard those words, instead of an address, I'm going to share a few words about my friendship with him. We will then have a very special reading. Then you might have noticed that there's a few drummers about. And I know that I would get in trouble if I called them what I used to call them. But I'm not going to call them the bangers and blowers. It's the White Feather Drum Healing Circle. They will be giving the healing to everyone present. You don't need to put your hands up. But of course, Tony will still be leading that, so I will let him explain what's going to happen closer to the time. But please, my friends, share in the friendship, the companionship, and the coming together that we have today, because that is what it's all about. So please, friends, would you join with me as we open this evening in prayer? As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends in a place where we may remember that it is the living of life to its fullest that is the most important part of being here on this earth plane. We know, Great Spirit, that in times of great struggle and pain, we do lose those that we love from this earth to your world. But we know that they are safe. We know that they are healed, and we know that they are uplifted. And we know that when the time comes, they will come back to give us guidance, upliftment, and fond memory. So as I place this service in your care and keeping, I am reminded that tonight is about fond memory, love, and upliftment. In your name, amen. Well, friends, as I said, you don't get the hard drum-banging philosophy that I would normally give tonight, because there's plenty of drums being banged tonight. But I would like to share an experience that I had a very long time ago, when a young gentleman walked into the door of this hall, we was young then, he walked into this hall and introduced himself and told me of all the things he'd done of spirituality in his life. And he enjoyed being here amongst you all so much, and all those that were here so much, he never went away. And in actual fact, a number of months later, he approached me about being ordained as a minister. And I said, why do you want to be a minister? Because I want to help people. Because I care about people. Because we don't talk about upliftment and we don't talk about forgiveness enough. And because I want to give you a hard time. And those were his exact words. Well, 6 months later, he was ordained. And he has served Spirit, not just since then, but all of his life, in his own way, in all of his experiences. But I cannot put into words any clearer than what I did on Monday. That first moment when he first did a reading in this hall. And I have to share it in person because written word doesn't cover it. He always said that I would be the irreverent reverend, but that he would give me a good run for his money. And he did, because he stood pretty much where I'm standing now, and for the first time picked up in this hall, A Night with My Lady, a poem about playing a guitar, it turned out. But I sat down there in fear, because the first line really made me wonder where this was going. And my face got worse the further the poem went. It didn't get any better. And after I had picked myself up, after I had stopped putting my head in my hand, he stopped just before the last line, looked down at me with that sparkle in his eye and that cheeky grin in the corner of his mouth, and delivered the final line. And at the end, and this is something I've never told anyone before, but I tell you tonight, at the end of that, he leaned down to me, put his hand on this chair, and he leaned down and he says, "Told you I'd give you a good run for your money." And of course, that reading became famous, as it rightly should. But that's Alan. Confounding expectations. Lead you down a path to put you off your guard so that he could see the real you and you could see the real him. He has touched everybody's life that he has come into contact with in a unique, different, and individual way. Because for me, that was the greatest gift that Alan brought to the Independent Spiritualists Alliance. He could change his tactic, change his wording, change his approach to the individual, but then have them on his level and his way of doing things by the end of the conversation. And I know that anyone who is blessed to have him reach out to them from Spirit, to work with, to converse with, will have a huge ally from the world of Spirit once he's finished putting all of the conservative politicians in heaven in their place. As a tribute to Alan, I even resigned my membership of the Conservative Party this week. I'm sure that the words that I would hear, well, you could have done it a bit sooner, really, but never mind, you get there in the end. Alan crossed every single boundary of faith, spirituality, politics, but we won't go there. I've got a few stories that I could tell, but I'll wait a few months before I tell those. But he also crossed boundaries in spirituality. Yes, he was a Christian spiritualist minister, but he was a bit of everything. His style of spirituality was eclectic at best. but his love for Native American shamanism and everything that came with it shone above and beyond it all, which is why I am so pleased that the drum healing circle called White Feather will forever be a part of the Independent Spiritualists Alliance in its own right. And that will be a legacy that will outlive all of us, or else. So friends, don't feel down as much as you can, because I am reminded of the words that I always use in moments like this, because they are true and they mean something. The pain that you feel for the physical loss is only stronger when you care more. And I know that I would rather have had all of those experiences with Alan than not have had those experiences with Alan. The pain that we suffer at this time is a reflection of what an absolute diamond geezer Alan Sutton is. So please, my friends, remember, he will be watching. He will be keeping an eye on you. And if you step out of line, he'll definitely let you know, because that's nothing less than what we would expect. So on behalf of us all, I know you're up there. Keep them in check, and thank you for the journey. God bless Reverend Alan Sutton. And so now we're going to have a very special reading. And I'd like to ask Alan's sister Dot to step forward to read it.
Can I just say before I read this, thanks to all of his friends here. I know you would appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. So here goes. It's called A Night with My Lady. I know you'll all probably laugh at it, apart from Nick. Right, so here we go. Her body glistens in the light. I urge to play with her all night. I pick her up and hold her steady. Take a deep breath. We both are ready. I run one hand up her long neck. Just touching her makes me euphoric. Across her body, my right hand goes. I've been practicing, believe me, it shows. Her body glistens in the light. I urge to play with her all night. I pick her up and hold her steady. Take a deep breath, we both are ready. Another deep breath, the tension mounts. Have to stay focused, every moment counts. I am ready, let's get moving. Here it goes, we both start grooving. Her body glistens in the light. I urge to play with her all night. I pick her up and hold her steady. Take a deep breath, we both are ready. I start out slow to get in the swing. As I do, she starts to sing. The sounds and feelings grow more immense. The movements become more intense. Her body glistens in the light. I urge to play with her all night. I pick her up and hold her steady. Take a deep breath, we both are ready. She screams and screams while I am groping. My heart stops as I see the door open. My mum walks in and with a frown says, your guitar is too loud, please turn it down. Well, bro. Reverend Al. Thank you, everybody.
One thing I will say, it is an absolute joy and pleasure to see more than one family tradition continued.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Do you know what? It's the one thing that he did every single time he was here, is steal the microphone. I think he was trying to tell me shut up and get on with it. So let's do that, because now, my friends, it is time for the healing. And as I mentioned, the shamanic drum healing is something very special to everyone who has joined that group. And it is something that has taken off with a boom. A confession, the first time he mentioned it was in one of our Mind, Body and Spirit events. And he had that room over there to do it. And he said, I'm going to do my drum healing. And I went, okay, fine. You want to come and have it? And I went, yeah, okay. Honestly, I was not convinced. Yeah, sure, that'll be nice sounds, probably won't have too much of an impact. So I walked into the room, chair came out, sit your backside down. And I did as I was told. And I was changed, and I was convinced, and I've loved it ever since. And so now, whether you've experienced it or not, you're about to. As we give our healing leader the floor, come on up, Mr. Tony. Give it up for Mr. Tony.
Thank you. Yeah, a bit different tonight, but similar words. So drummers, if you like to just assume the positions that we discussed earlier. Thank you. And as ever, where groups of like-minded people such as us are formed, they will grow. And as they grow, love and compassion will grow, and so will the gift of healing. And tonight you're going to experience drum healing. So drummers, when you are ready, yes, please. When do you want your things to do your psychometry with?
I'm just going to go around to each individual with a tray.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, drummers, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm not going to run away with it. I'm not going to run away with it.
No, you're well trained. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Well done. Oh. Thank you to Tony for leading the healing. And a big thank you to the White Feather Drum Healing Group. It was always easier to call it what I used to call it. I have to think about what I'm saying now. There you go. There's the black look. I get in trouble for calling it the other thing. Thank you, though, in all seriousness, to everyone for doing that. And I do hope you felt the resonance and vibration and upliftment and maybe even a vortex or two, which is exactly the words that were said to me when I first had it. So thank you all for taking part. And so, a few minutes early, well, I say a few minutes, about 6 or 7 minutes early, than usual, we're going to be handing over in a second to Lisa, who I will let explain how she's going to work. I've already indicated on the poster and said last week, this evening is an evening of psychometry and mediumship, and everyone who works in that way works differently in their own unique and individual way. And I'm not afraid of having something a bit different on the platform every now and again, because this way of life is about experimentation and trying out new ways. And I will say that we used to play with psychometry a lot in Circle, didn't we, darling? The occasional flower, the occasional ribbon, even the odd shoelace came into the fore. I enjoy the shoelaces, but you know, it is good fun, but it's also a good way of developing your own ability and working. And if people don't see how it's done, they ain't going to know it's there. So that's the joy of an evening like this. So Lisa, thank you so much. And so now a reminder, should we need to evacuate the building, of course, our exits are here and through here. If the curtains start twitching and the chairs start moving, I've done something wrong, and I will definitely be the first one out of the hall. But please do have an uplifted and joyous night connecting with our loved ones in spirit. And so now please give a proper, just and warming welcome to our friend, our family member, and our medium for tonight, Lisa Snowflake Checkley. Careful. I know you're safe.
You've known me too long.
Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Now, I'm going to hopefully do psychometry the way that I was taught. People do it in various different ways. I was taught very old school, so I'm going to try and do it that way. Nobody else should touch the object apart from the person giving the object and myself. So I've got a helper. I have a young man at the back. Please give him a clap. And he is going to be taking my tray, and he is going to be receiving the object and bringing it straight up the front to me, where I'll be touching it and hopefully getting a link with spirit. I won't be talking whilst I'm handling the object. I'll put the object back on the tray, and then I will give the reading. That's the way that I was taught to do it. Some people do it slightly differently, but that was the way, I think that was the way Nick was taught as well. So we're going to try that. I've got some objects already here. I've got a lovely book, a watch strap, and a beautiful ring. What I'll do in a minute, I'll ask just the person that's put those there just to stick their hand up so I can see your face. That's the only thing, because it helps me establish a link if I don't know you. There is a special young lady at the back who's going to get the very first reading because she asked ever so nicely last week. So I'm going to give my tray to Mark, and that's the lovely Linda at the back who asked very nicely for a reading last week. Very dear object that she doesn't like out of her position. Yeah.
I picked it up once and got the edge.
Right, I can understand that. Right. So Mark's bringing it straight over to me. So let's try and do Reverend Alan proud, because he was such a supporter of this way of life. So, right. Now, when Linda was talking to me last week, she had a necklace and she was doing this to me and saying, oh, I'd really like a reading from this. And I started getting a reading last week. So I'm going to be honest, folks. I've written down on my list some of the things I actually got last week before I even touched the object. And I'll then go on to touching it and hopefully get some more information for you guys. Right. Okay, so Linda, last week it was a unique object. It was made just for you and only for you. There's no doubt about the shape heart, the heart shape that it is. She wanted a heart shape, there was no doubt, and she was having no other shape. That was you, madam. You had to have that shape. Also, it was made and it was cast by one man, I believe. I think one man did the work. I don't think there was a catalogue of people, and I think it was a gentleman. Also, you knew exactly what colour you wanted. I was going to say, it's not a colour. I've just realised. Right, okay. You knew exactly what colour you wanted, and you knew exactly what you wanted it to look like. There was no hesitation. You were having that, madam, and that was the way it was. Also, last week I got with you that there was another object connected with this, which you considered getting. I don't know what the object is. I feel it was also a piece of jewellery, but I may be wrong. But there was something very similar that you wanted to get as well. Okay, right, I'm going to stop talking, guys, because hopefully I'll get something when I touch this. Okay, just so that the audience know, this is a very unique piece, and it actually has Linda's husband. So it is truly a one-of-a-kind piece. This object, I don't feel, is hardly ever taken off. I feel it is on you constantly. I also feel you touch it, particularly when you're watching television. Now, I'm not actually sure, because I'm not familiar with how this... I'm touching it, and I'm giving the reading. Oh, I'm so sorry. Right. I'm not actually sure how this object was made. I feel that a cast was taken of Francis's thumb, and I feel that was then put on. I don't feel Francis did it straight, if you understand that, yeah? And I feel it was something that was decided upon quite a long time ago.
It was decided before she knew about it.
Okay. I also feel that Francis would have totally approved of this. He would have, and he actually, Francis was very sentimental in a funny way. Do you understand what I'm saying? In a really funny way. When you spoke to Francis, you wouldn't think, oh, he's a really romantic and sentimental and soppy man. But by goodness, he could be soppy over the silliest things. Yeah. I also feel there could be other... I don't understand this, but I'm going to say it like it is, because I always say it like Spirit tell me. There could be others made of this. There are. Right, okay. Because I thought this piece is unique, but I do feel there could be other pieces that could be made. Right, okay. But there's not a heart one, is there? No. Right, okay. I'm going to touch the object, I'm not going to talk. Right. Okay. Francis used to love telling people and giving people directions of places to go. And he was very specific about funny things. I remember speaking, this isn't from Spirit, this is from me. When I was speaking to Francis, he either had a tool for every job or eventuality in the world, and he also knew the way 2 places. I feel with this object, this was decided on. I don't feel that Francis knew that this was coming, this object. I feel this was done without Francis knowing. But I feel that Francis's energy has been connected to it the entire time, even before it was conceived. You don't even take it off in the shower, is that right? You do take it off in the shower, but it's very near. It's nearby you all the time. Because Spirit is saying she don't take it off. And she don't take it off at all. And I kept thinking, does she take it off in the shower? And it's like, no, she doesn't take it off at all. Not at all. That explains it. I do feel that Francis would have had one of these done for you. I just feel there wasn't time. Does that make sense? That there wasn't time for him to do that? Yeah, he would send his love. Francis would send his love to you. He would wholeheartedly approve of this, although he wasn't a sentimental gentleman. He was sentimental in a silly way towards things. And you totally got him and he totally got you. There you are, Mark. Would you be able to take this back straight to Linda? And then I've got a couple of other objects. You're welcome. All right.
If I just may, there were 2 options of colours. There was either gold or silver. And there are 3 of them in different shapes, all from different areas of the same thumb, because they take the cast and blow it up. And if you lay all 3 of them together, it completes more of the thumb.
Oh, wow. Brilliant. That's really good. Right, I've got some objects here, and I'd just like to know who put them on my table. I've got a beautiful prayer book. Prayer book? And it says common prayer on it. There is no such thing as a common prayer. It's beautiful. So is that okay? Putting the object down. Okay. I know a little bit about you, don't I? But not a lot. Right. I'm going to say the first thing. This common prayer book has been through the wars. It's had a lot happen to it whilst it's been owned. I don't believe you owned it to start with. I believe it's a family prayer book. Whoever had it carried it with them at all times. Can you understand that? You're not sure. When I first held it, I felt it had been through the wars or a war. Does that make any sense to you? I also feel it was owned mainly by a gentleman, but I think a lady has also owned it at some point before yourself. Right. Okay. This gentleman was obviously quite religious, and I want to say gentleman. I feel this gentleman actually already knew a lot of the prayers in it by heart. He didn't need to refer to that constantly. He actually was quite learned. And I also feel it's gone overseas as well and come back again. It has, right, okay. And come back, right, okay. I'm just going to put them back up again, so. I don't feel the object was given. I don't feel the object was given away during its first lifetime with the gentleman. I felt he kept it his whole life. And I believe you've inherited it from. Okay. I don't believe he gave it to anybody during his life. I believe he kept it. It was extremely well loved. And I also believe it was kept under a bed at one point, in a box. I believe the gentleman was quite of a stocky build. And when I'm getting an image of him, he's got silver grey, fairly short hair. I believe it's got military background. Okay, I believed it had some sort of military connection there. I'm going to stay with that, and maybe you can do a bit of research. I believe the gentleman was fairly well built. He was fairly stocky, and he got stockier as he got older. He was very confident in his beliefs. He knew what he believed in, and he didn't really care what other people believed in. He was very assured in his pathway on what he believed for his religion. Is that all right for you, Eileen? Thank you. Could you bring Thank you to Eileen with the flower in her hair. Right, I have two lovely objects here. I have a beautiful ring and what looks like a watch strap. Could somebody claim them, please? The ring is yours. Right, okay. Right. So I'm picking the object up. It's only been touched by the lady that put it on there and myself. I know the lady that's given me this ring a little bit. I feel that this ring, and the lady's family like jewellery, but they are known for having some nice jewellery. This ring, I feel, is a bit different. I don't feel that it was Mum's ring. I feel it was somebody else's ring before it was yours. It was obviously a lady owner. I believe this particular lady, hang on, let me touch the object. Right, I'll carry on the reading. Sorry about that. I feel this particular lady, personality-wise, I feel that she could be very, very outgoing at times, but a lot of the time she was actually quite a private person. I want to do this. She was quite private. This lady, the number of people she trusted was 3 or 4. She was quite private about her own business. She's got quite a flamboyant ring, but I don't believe that lady was like this all of the time. I believe there were areas of her life that she was more flamboyant in. Does that make sense to you? I believe she was quite private, quite withdrawn, and some people would say she was shy at times. I believe she'd had trust issues with people in the past, and that's why she didn't trust a lot of people. She also kept her business to herself. Does that make sense? Her business to herself. And I want to keep doing this as if I'm playing my cards close to my chest with this lady. But I'm going to pick the object up again. Right, I'm not sure of the history of this because I don't see a gentleman involved with this. So I don't know if the lady bought this ring herself or if she was given it. I can't get that. She was an immediate part of your family. I don't believe it was mum. I want to say aunt. As soon as I picked it up, I wanted to say aunt. So I'm not sure whether that's an aunt in family or a friend of the family who was considered an aunt. Does that make any sense? It was a friend. But would she have been like considered almost family? No, don't worry. That's not. I don't believe this lady would have been a larger lady in build. I believe she got bigger as she obviously got older, but I don't think she was a particularly large lady. When I first picked the ring up, my first instinct was a connection with show business. And I don't know why I wanted to say that, but performing some sort of show business connection along the lines there. Because it's quite a glamorous ring. If you look at it, it's quite a glamorous ring. But I don't think this lady was actually like that in her personal life. I think she was quite the opposite. She was quite shy, withdrawn and quiet. Let me pick the object up again. Right. This lady trusted very few people, and if you were one of her trusted friends, you were a friend for life. She would have gone to the ends of the earth for you. I believe she'd have gone to the ends of the earth for Barbara, because once she gave her heart to people and her friendship to people, that was it. There was no boundaries. She would give everything and anything for the people in her life that she loved. I think this lady had a difficult life. I think she'd had a difficult life with disappointments. I want to say disappointments. Does that make sense? The Spirit is saying to me in a very, very nice English way, disappointments. So I feel this lady could have spoken quite nicely. Right, Spirit are also saying geography was involved. And I don't know what they mean. I don't know if that meant she moved away, or if you moved away, or she was further away from you. Okay, I think I might know who this ring is, and I'll speak to you later. Yeah, I hope that's okay for you, Barbara. Very nice lady, very true of heart. Mark, would you be able to take back the ring? Yeah, all right. Brilliant. Now I've got a beautiful, I think it's a watch strap, and that's, yeah, dot is, right, okay. Right, okay. I've got a beautiful, beautiful part of a watch strap here. Absolutely beautiful. Right, okay. I believe the owner of this was a lady. I believe it was given to her by a gentleman. I want to say Spirit have said to me it was given as a gift. I want to say that this, I thought it was a watch strap, but there's no watch on it. It's a very classy gift. Whoever, the lady that owned this, I do believe, she didn't have very much jewellery, but what she had, she really looked after. She wasn't a wearing a lot of jewellery type lady. cut, colour and the style and the quality of things were what was important to this lady. I do feel that a gentleman bought her this. Does that make any sense to you? It was a gift. And I believe it was actually a gift for a significant reason. Okay. I don't believe it was yours. I believe it was somebody else's, and you've now inherited it. I want to say inherited it. Does that make sense? Yes and no. That's all right. No. Yes and no. Right. Okay. Right. I'm going to pick the object up now. I do believe that the owner of this bracelet is extremely practical. It's you, isn't it? It's yours. It wasn't anybody else's. It was always yours. Right, okay. So can I now tell you? Right, very practical. You can turn your hand at mostly anything, even if it doesn't quite work out as planned. Does that make sense? Right, you don't have a lot of jewellery, but what you have is nice. And you actually, the lady looks after what she's got. It's very nice. You prefer quality over quantity in everything. Does that make sense? Apart from your drinks. Does that make any sense? Right, okay, okay. I'm here. I've got an old expression now. I'm being told you're a little raver. Right, okay. Right, I'm going to pick the object up again so I won't talk. I'm going to say this, I believe there's a connection with this, with a holiday. Now, the first thing I thought of from Spirit was a cruise ship, and I don't know where I've got that from, so I'm going to stick with that. But I believe there's a connection with a holiday along with this bracelet. There is also a connection to times past, the 1920s. I believe it's a connection, I think you like the 1920s, 1930s era. Although you're not dressed 1920s, I believe you like the era, you like the style, the pattern, the music. And I think you like the films, the manners. She likes the manners of the 1920s, 1930s, when people were polite and they shined their shoes and they looked nice and smart when they went out. Right. I hope that was all right for you. Was it? There you are. Just put that on there. Right, is there anybody else that's got anything at all? Oh, wow. Right, I'm just going to... Right. Thank you, there you are. It's Dot, the lady in the red next to Barbara. Right. Okay. Nick, pick someone.
Is there anybody? Oh no. Dear, now I'm going to talk about passing it off. Right, okay. We'll start off in this corner and go right to the very front corner there, that young lady there.
I'm going to try and be really as brief as possible, then I can get around as many people.
Start banging through, girl, because you've got a lot of people going to speak.
Okay, right, okay. Lovely. No, that's fine. Beautiful ring. Who from? The lady at the end? Okay. Right. Lady at the end has given me what looks like a beautiful and a very unusual wedding ring. Spirit are telling me that although the ring is owned or was owned by a lady, a man is connected to it in quite a strong way. I feel this man may have had a lot more to do than just buying the ring. I feel that it was designed. Ah, right, don't tell me anymore. Don't tell me anymore. Because I feel there is a gentleman very heavily involved in this ring, although I feel it was worn by a lady. Right, okay. The couple that are involved with this ring had a lot going on. They had a lot of adventures. Does that make any sense to you? They did a lot of things together. One of them did, okay. Because I see a lot of travel and a lot of adventure, what I would call adventures. Right, fabulous, but it's only one of them. Right, okay, that's really interesting. Right, I'm going to pick the object up so I'm not talking now. Okay. I also feel this was a real love match. They were really entwined. They were zoomed together from the minute they met, together completely. They understood each other. They went through good times and bad times. I feel one of them in particular suffered quite ill health before the end. I feel that one in particular, one of this couple that are associated with this eternity ring, because I don't want to just say one person, I want to say a couple were involved in it. One of them suffered quite poorly health and was quite a poorly soldier, I want to say, right at the end. I feel the other one, it wasn't quite so much. I'm being told they raised a happy family. Does that make sense? They raised a happy family. Also, they went through thick and thin together. Does that make sense? Good times, bad times. They never gave up on each other. I don't think the ring is yours. I think the ring was given to you, and I think you are one of the children. Does that make sense? Is there 4? Okay, because I want to say 4 children. Anyway, is that okay? And then I can get round for so many people. Thank you, Mark. Right. Right. Oh, we've been given a list. Fabulous. I love it. That works. Oh.
It narrows it down, doesn't it?
Ooh. We have an object.
An object. Oh.
Right, okay. Okay. Which lady is this from? Is that from my Julie? Right, now I know Julie a little bit, not very much. So I'll take the object. Right, okay. This is a very interesting object. Right, okay. Julie, it's not yours, it's somebody else's. It's the male in your life, or a male in your life. He chose it. Right. I'm talking while I'm touching it, sorry. Oh. Right, okay, I believe this Indian is in close proximity to the gentleman, geography-wise. Like it's in the same room or it's very near. It's in a room, right, okay. Right. I believe that this gentleman has suffered ill health. I believe he has peaks and troughs with his ill health. So sometimes he's more poorly than others. He tries to put a brave face on everything. If that's not right, Julie, just say it's not right. Well, he did, right, okay. Okay. I don't feel this gentleman travelled to stay with. I don't believe, what can I say? Right, I don't believe this gentleman travelled to the area of country where these are native to. I believe he liked it very much, and I feel had things been different, he would have liked to have gone. This gentleman is a great admirer of other cultures, particularly this culture, but I feel there are other cultures that he admires. He also would have watched documentaries on things and been very interested in people's lifestyles and the way of life. I feel this gentleman also, he agreed with a lot of the principles of the Native Americans in theory. Obviously, he was in this country, I do believe. I don't believe he was in America, and I don't believe he travelled to America. I believe this was bought in the UK. Right, okay. I don't believe... is there a group of these? Yes. Right, okay. Because the Spirit is saying there's a collection of them. Right, okay. Being told this gentleman was very knowledgeable because he watched a lot of television programmes, a lot of documentaries. I want to say National Geographic. Does that make sense? That type of thing. The object's not yours, it's the gentleman's object. He chose it. I don't know if you bought it or somebody else, but I feel it's all the gentleman, it's all the male energy. Okay. And the gentleman is part of your immediate family. Right, okay. And I believe it's the gentleman that is at home at the moment. Right, okay. Is that all right for you, Julie? Right. Thank you, Mark. Okay, I'll try and get 3 or 4 more in. I'll try to be as quick as possible. Okay. I'm not very good with my timing. Ooh. Ooh, there's another object. What's this? Right, okay, it's a watch. Right, lovely, beautiful watch, actually, a beautiful antique watch. Right, can you pop your hand up if you have put this on my tray? Right, hang on. Can I just look at your faces? I mean, hello. Right, okay. Right, I'm going to pick the object up and hopefully I'll get something. And I won't run off with it, ladies, but it is totally gorgeous. Right, okay. Putting the object down. Right, ladies, this is a beautiful vintage watch, guys. You should really see it's beautiful. Right, ladies, the watch wasn't owned by you two originally. It was owned by a gentleman who loved and cherished it. I do believe the gentleman that owned it is now in spirit. He's part of your immediate family. There was also a bit of a dispute on who was going to get the watch. I don't understand, but Spirit is saying there was a little bit of... Do you want me to carry on? Is that all right with you? Right, okay. There was a little bit of to-do about where it was going to end up. Does that make sense? This is very odd. Do you two share it? Do you share the watch? Okay, okay. Right. Do believe this was a very family-orientated man, very old-fashioned values, all manners at the table, I want to say, manners at the table. But he was very loving, that he wasn't strict. He was quite particular about things, polishing his shoes, looking smart, manners at the table, things like that. But he was more loving. He was very loving, very family orientated. Liked it when you were in a small group. Does that make sense? I want to say round a table. 4 or 5 of you round a table together eating. Does that make sense? Immediate family. You guys were little. Yeah? Okay. I believe this was given as a special gift. And I want to go ! Special gift. It was very much prized. And I don't believe this gentleman wore it every day. I think he did wear it, but I think he didn't wear it when he was doing manual work. Does that make sense? Didn't want to mess it up. He kept it nicely, wore it when he wasn't. And I also get shirt sleeves as well. I want to pull shirt sleeves up. This gentleman also did do stuff around the home. I want to say, because I can see this, doing the washing up, doing bits and pieces at home. Yes and no, not sure, don't worry. I'm going to have a go and pick it up again. This gentleman was very much mourned when he passed to spirit, very much. I get the impression as well that this gentleman was not very well, but his passing was quite a surprise. Does that make sense to you? It was unexpected. People didn't expect him to pass when he did. I believe gentleman is grandfather. Does that make sense? Your granddad. Ah, right, that makes sense. Did granddad pass quite quickly? But he was poorly anyway, but he just suddenly passed. And it was very unexpected for people. Okay, lovely. Was that all right for you? And granddad is fine. I think he's keeping an eye on you. Could you take that back, Mark, if possible, please? Thank you. Poor Mark, he's got a list and everything.
Yeah. Doing as he's told.
Bless him. He needs his Galaxy t-shirt on, really. His Galaxy shirt.
Can you read my writing there? Orange top at the back. Was in
No.
My writing isn't always the best, you know. I'm quite terrible.
I am as well. That's probably why we get on, actually.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Oh, lovely. Right, lady at the back, smile at me. Hello there. Right, I've got a beautiful ring. Another sort of vintage piece. I believe it's an engagement ring. It's definitely a special significance ring. Right. Putting the object down, right. This lady, and I believe it was a lady that owned it, she had a very difficult life at times. Some of the time it was fine, but she had quite a lot of difficulties within it. I don't feel this lady had a lot of money. I don't feel she had a lot of time. I feel it was a bit of a struggle for her at times. And she soldiered through it. She ploughed on through it. She wouldn't give up, this lady. She was a very strong lady, very strong mentally to manage, I feel. Right. I feel this lady, I've been asking if there was a connection with a gentleman, and there must be a connection with the gentleman, but I can't get any information about the gentleman. I'm just getting the lady now. I feel the lady, like I said, she didn't have an awful lot of money at the time. Everything was a struggle. She soldiered on. She was extremely determined. I don't feel that this lady was extremely outgoing. I feel she could be quite reserved. Does that make sense? She was also, she was a very good lady to have as a friend, because if you told her a secret, she would keep that secret. Even if she had to take it to her grave, she would keep that secret. So she was extremely good at taking, people took her into their confidence, and she wasn't a gossiper. She didn't tell people other people's secrets. She didn't get involved in that type of thing. She was a very genuine lady, very good of heart. She didn't put on airs and graces. She didn't pretend that she was somebody that she was not. She was just a genuine, approachable lady. I feel there is a family there. I feel there is also extended family who were more like a family. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So sometimes there were quite a lot of people around this lady because of circumstances. And Spirit are also giving me a connection to my mum. With my mum, there was always room for one more at dinner. And I believe this lady would be like that. There was always one more room, whether it would be an extra roll or an extra bit of food, some place would always be available for someone, as people could go to this lady if they were in trouble, and she would help. I believe she didn't have an awful lot sometimes to help, but she would have done what she could. Is that okay for you? I believe this lady is now in spirit. Yes. I want to say grandmother. Nana. Right, that makes sense. Mark, would you be able to take that back if possible? How long have I got? 10 minutes. Okay. Second row.
Those that had their hands up in the second row, stick your hands up again so you can see where. There you go.
We're having a lot of different objects, I'll say that. A lot of different objects. Right, okay. Beautiful. Something beautiful jewellery here. Yeah, no, that's all right. Right, okay. So this gentleman, I know a little bit, don't I? Right, okay. So I'm picking up his object. Right, okay. Right, okay. Gentleman has given me a very heavy, very old gold wedding ring. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It was owned by a gentleman who really went through the wars. A lot happened to this gentleman, I do believe, in a very short period of time.
In context, yes.
Yeah, because I see sort of blocks of action and blocks of happenings, and then nothing, and then blocks of something and then nothing. Does that make sense to you? Right. I also see there is a military connection with this as well. Right, okay, it's hence the blocks of action, then not the blocks of action. I believe this gentleman experienced a huge change. Does that make sense? Because I want to keep doing this for confusion. A huge change to his life and his thinking. Right, okay. Let me pick the object up again. Right, okay. I believe this gentleman had a change, not just geographically. I believe he went to different places. Yes, but I believe mentally he also had a shift in his thinking because he had to at the time. I also believe he had a change of role within that time period. I don't know what it was, but Spirit is saying to me he went from here to here to here. So it wasn't just places, he did slightly different things. Does that make any sense to you? Right, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Right, okay. I'm just going to say 3 words. This gentleman came home. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Right. Okay. That's what Spirit said to me. Spirit have just said, gentleman came home.
You did then, didn't you?
Right. Okay. That explains it. Right. Okay. Right. You've had another change of career and you're looking at possibly another one. Alongside, I don't understand this, but there are other things that you are also doing. Some of it I know is your spiritual journey, but there's something else that you're also interested in doing. You're doing a lot of research. I keep seeing a lot of research about things because I want to go like this, as if you're looking up stuff on the computer. You're always like interested in what's happening. Okay. I'm being told you've come a long way, but you've got a long way to go, and you recognise this. Okay. Okay. Like the gentleman at the back in spirit, you also get sentimental over funny things in a very quirky way. I'm being told you like quirky things. Does that make any sense? Quirky things that other people might not like, you like. Also, you get very sentimental over some people would say insignificant things. It takes you back, and it takes you back to that moment. Okay, I hope that's all right for you. That's really interesting. Right, okay. The lady that's given that. Which lady? Is it lady, gentleman? Right. Right. Can I just see your face? Hello there. Very pretty lady there. Right, okay. Right, okay. Lovely lady, right. You really wear your heart on your sleeve, you do. Your emotions are everything. You give your heart, your time, and your money to other people. You are extremely empathic. If you don't work with spirit, you should, because I think you'd be a brilliant healer. Emotions, trust, loyalty, these are all really important things to you. If you ain't got trust, that's it with someone. You are done with them. You've had issues with trust in the past, and you've really learnt that, and you now know what to look for. I want to say flags of what you want to look for, but you still love people. You love helping people. Any of your friends or family come to you for help, you are the first person with your hand in your purse, I want to say, helping them out, or going to get them shopping. You are very, very nurturing. I'm just going to pick the object up again. Right, there's a female energy connected with this. So if the owner of the necklace isn't you, I believe it's a female close to you. Does that make any sense? I'm probably completely wrong there. It's all right. It's not, it's a gentleman. Was this bought by a female for the gentleman? It was bought for, right, okay. Sorry, I got that. There is a link though, right, okay. Right. The person in spirit, I believe the person that owned this is now in spirit. And I believe they went far too soon. Does that make sense? Far too soon, far too young, spirit are saying. They're also saying that this person wore their heart on their sleeve. They're saying a heart as big as an ocean. Huge, big heart. Too kind for his own good. Does that make any sense to you? With this, and I want to say again, gentlemen, His word was his bond. This guy, if he promised somebody something, by heavens, he would fulfill that request. I believe this gentleman also had an awful lot of friends, and some you didn't even know about until after he'd passed. Does that make sense? I believe you had people coming up and saying nice things about this gentleman, how he'd helped them in the past, and family had no idea. Absolutely no idea. Right, okay. I also feel with this gentleman, he wasn't supposed to pass. Does that make any sense? He was not supposed to pass. There is also a connection with, I want to say 5 years, but I also want to say 3. Does that make any sense to you? Whether that's an anniversary or a significant date, and 3 years also. Don't worry if it doesn't at the moment. You might go home and it might. Yeah, it might. Okay. Right. So everybody knows the necklace says Gucci on it. It's gorgeous. But I don't believe this gentleman wore designer clothes all the time. I believe a lot of the time he just wore normal everyday jeans and stuff. But he did, when he dressed up, I'm being told he looked the business. He looked the business when he dressed up, but he didn't do it often enough, I'm being told. He was also extremely good looking in his youth, I believe this gentleman was, but he didn't recognise that he was. He wasn't vain at all. In fact, he actually used to, he wasn't very good at taking compliments, this gentleman. He sort of used to laugh them off, if that makes any sense to you. Don't know what this gentleman passed of. Right. I also have a feeling there is another very similar necklace somewhere which is connected with this gentleman. Does that make any sense? I don't know if this is a female, but there is a necklace that is very similar to this. Okay. So I hope that's all right for you. Anyway, is that okay? Yep. There you are. Mark's bringing it straight back to you. It's obviously extremely important to you. You're welcome. Lovely gentleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Snowflake. Can I have my microphone?
You certainly can.
Mind your hair, I don't want to yank it out at the same time. There you go.
Oh,
Steady. There you go. No pain, no grief, no struggle. Well, friends, I'm sure we can all agree that that was something very different for us, but also very uplifting, engaging, and truly evidential. So thank you to Lisa Snowflake Checkley. I also would like, Lisa did mention at the beginning, and you know, as I didn't do what you would call the usual philosophy, it gives me an opportunity to dip in and say, Lisa mentioned something at the beginning that not everybody might be aware of. Those that have not been coming very long or are new might not be aware of this. Those that have been coming a long time might have heard of it, but never actually known the reason behind, or some of us might actually know. Psychometry and the touching, don't touch it, don't touch it. There used to be something in the law called the Witchcraft Act, believe it or not. And that didn't get repealed until 1951. It was replaced by something called the Fraudulent Mediums Act. It's already gone. I think it was about 2008 they ditched it. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. 2008 they ditched it. But in that time, the Fraudulent Mediums Act was there to protect people from fraudulent mediums. Now, the wonderful thing about that law is that by definition, if you've got a law about fraudulent mediums, in law they're saying there must be genuine ones too, which is why we liked it. But they ditched it for European business legislation instead. And we're all governed by, you know, all these wonderful rules about how you can and cannot deal with people in business, which we would have done anyway. But anyway, one of the interpretations of that law written in the guidelines is that if you are holding an object whilst giving a demonstration of mediumship, it is considered, and I kid you not, a fraudulent device. So if I am holding a ring that belonged to somebody in the world of spirit, if I am communicating with them through that ring and holding on to it, under the law of this land, it was considered that that was a fraudulent device. That law no longer exists. So the question would be asked, why do we still follow that guideline? Because it's good practice. Because it's good sense to work in a way that is standardized. Now, we don't believe in a second or a heartbeat that it's a fraudulent device. But it's very, very good for indicating whether you are also, when you are learning, working psychically. Because your tutor taught you to put it down when you speak, just to make sure that you didn't get in trouble with the Fraudulent Mediums Act. Now, similar to that, the way I was taught was you can hold on to it if you're working psychically, but the minute you get a spirit link, you put the blasted thing down. I won't use the exact words that Rev Alan used, but it wasn't entirely polite. But other tutors, like for instance yours, would say, just don't speak while you're holding it, you're covered then. But that is the reason why we who work with psychometry put it down when we're connecting with spirit at the very least, because it used to be the law. Now, even though it's no longer the law, I will say that it's also used as guidelines from Ofcom, along the same lines as for entertainment purposes only. That's also a guideline from Ofcom. Fortunately, we're not on telly or the radio, so we don't give a stuff, and I never blooming well will. And when it comes to the entertainment purposes only, it doesn't apply when it's your religion, which is why every single event we hold here starts with the word service of. I will change it to psychometry when it's psychometry, but I will never lose the service, because this is our way of living, our way of life, our religion, whatever you want to call it, it's yours, because this church is its members. And I thank you all for being here. So one final time, a big thank you to Lisa Snowflake Checkley. And everyone's sitting there thinking, if only his rants would last that long all the time. I know. Friends, we're going to have our closing prayer, and I'm going to break with one of my very close-held convictions and traditions when it comes to prayer. I do not believe in prayers by rote, and I do not believe in reading them out off a page. I believe that they should come from the heart and should have meaning. But I'm breaking with that tradition for one night only, because I am actually going to read our closing prayer tonight from ink on a page and digital on a screen, because it will have meaning, it will have purpose, and it will be from the heart. Because I am now going to read you, wrong one, I'm now, hang on. They're all up there laughing, I'm sure. I'm now going to read you a traditional Native American prayer for peace. Let's join together and close this service in prayer. As we say, O great spirit of our ancestors, we raise the pipe to you, to your messengers, the four winds, and the Mother Earth who provides for your children. Give us the wisdom to teach the children of the future to love, to respect, to be kind to each other, so that they may grow with peace in mind. Amen. Blessed be, so may it be, and God bless you all. Like I said, I don't read them very often, but I've got to get that one right. And so, friends, thank you all for... Yeah, I know. I haven't forgotten that bit yet. But I never would, though, would I, darling? Thank you all for being a part of... Oh, sorry. Blessed it's open, doesn't open anything that it shouldn't. There, I think we're all right. I think we're all right. Bear with. Ooh, I think we're safe. Gonna say, isn't he just? The good thing is, a couple of weeks ago, I sneezed at a candle workshop and I was holding a candle at the time and it got covered in wax, so it's probably waterproof. I still... There we go. You're there. God bless you all for waiting. Thank you all for being part of this evening. Thank you to Dot for the reading and for coming and seeing us. We're very, very grateful. Thank you for bringing the picture and the Guinness, because I would be in trouble if I did not mention the Guinness. If you want to raise a glass and a toast to our Alan, then it's got to be Guinness. If you're not keen on drinking it, I know a place where you can get them in brownie form. And no, I am still talking about Guinness. If you ever want to howl at the moon in a powwow or sit in a sweat lodge or a teepee, just pay a thought to Alan, because he'll probably be watching and joining you, because that's the sort of thing that he would find interesting. Something different, something new. Never, ever exclude anything different, unique, or special. That is something that he taught me, and I pass it on to you on his behalf. So thank you all. And our medium next week is Colin Boswell's back. That's been a while since we've had Colin. And yes, there are a few. Oh yes, of course, that's Sunday, isn't it? Oh. So there is a workshop on Sunday. It's from 10:30 to 3:30, £15 including lunch. It's called a Magical Mystery Tour. Oh, look at that. I remembered it all. And yes, that's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. And it will be here in this hall. The following week would normally be the Drum Healing Circle. However, not this time, because the following week we're all having a bit of an outing. I don't know whether I can talk any more about it, because I think you've sold out all tickets, haven't you? Oh, all tickets are sold. So if at least half a dozen people more want to go, you know, she'll add another medium. But that's at the Wavertree on the National Stud in Newmarket on the 15th. And then, of course, the week after on the 22nd, oh my gosh, where are the numbers coming from? From 11 till 1, it is the White Feather Drum Healing Circle. And ironically, I believe this time, 10 till 1. I weren't far out. 10 till 1. And I believe, if memory serves me, you're going to be doing psychometry, aren't you? So there we are, drumming and a celebration. And I think it's very, very fitting. And it will be in that room where he first made me sit down and do as I was told. And he was doing it ever since. So thank you all again for being part of tonight. And again, one last time, a big thank you to Lisa, Snowflake, Checkley, and Mark the dutiful carrier of processions. But for now, everyone at home, we're going to say goodnight to, because we're going to have a raffle. So get your raffle tickets ready. So from all of us here to everyone who's still at home, good night, and God bless you all. And now I can genuinely check to see if my computer is blown up.